All of our previous challenges have brought us to this unpredictable tiebreaker challenge, a grand finale. Who is more ready to get their license? Justin's up first. This is Judgment Day. Both Sarah and Justin will do the same exact route on a mock road test to see who is actually more prepared to go for the road test. Justin starts off very well. I like how he's starting here. He's setting his mirrors, he's getting everything right for his drive. This is only about a 20-minute to 30-minute drive, but he's starting it out the right way.
Okay.
Are we ready to go?
We are ready to go.
Okay, minus 15 points.
Why?
Because you didn't notice that the back door is open.
What?
There's a light for it right there.
Son of a bitch. You fucking cunt.
Yeah, probably a little bit cruel, but you are supposed to check the car before you start driving. You're also supposed to release the parking brake.
Okay, minus 15 points.
What did you do?
Trying to move with the parking brake engaged. There's a light for it right there.
Now, where's your parking brake on this one?
With no more lights on in the dashboard, we're finally ready to go. Now, I do want to make one note here. It's a lot darker than the camera makes it seem, and you can tell by the lights in the parking garage over to the right. So, Justin should have his headlights
I
on.
have signal light and everything. Okay, minus 5 points.
Why?
Driving in the evening with the headlights off.
Where's your headlights on this one?
You can also see the headlights on all the other cars during this evening drive. Now, remember, for a road test in this province, you only get 50 points to lose. Once you lose 50 points, that's it. You failed.
You'll do okay now. Remember what I said of the last time. Take it right here. Remember what I said of the last challenge. I got faith in you.
They want to roll back.
Okay, go down the hill. Okay, that's minus 15 there, Justin.
What did I do there?
Failure to signal the right turn. That's the straight road.
Justin needs to take it a little bit easier on the pedals too, which is why I'm surprised he did so well in the play ball challenge. But they tied and no one got a point anyway. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I'm going to show the entire drive. Sped up a little bit, of course, but I'll slow it down for the parts that went wrong. I'm going to show the whole drive just to stop the arguments, you know? Because Justin could say, oh, well, you know, Sarah messed up here, you didn't show it. Or, you know, Sarah could say, well, Justin messed up here, you didn't show it. I'm not sure who's going to create the argument right now because, of course, I'm not sure who won. But I just think it's easier if I show the whole thing. Justin wasn't too impressed with his start here, and I mean, sure, he racked up 50 points in about 8 minutes of driving. Well, you know, 30 before he even started driving. But he still has a long drive ahead of him. He can still make up a lot of points, or not lose points in places that Sarah might. So he doesn't need to worry too much yet. He's doing a lot of good things here. He's stopping at the stop line at the traffic lights instead of at the crosswalk. He's stopping at the stop line at that intersection right there. He's coming up on a four-way stop here that he does very well. But then as we get to the intersection of Allendale Road and Elizabeth Avenue, I think Justin loses focus a little bit. What I meant by Justin lost focus at that previous intersection is because I know Justin knows to merge into the nearest lane of traffic. He actually does it correctly on this intersection, even though the Jeep in front of him doesn't. And now it's a straightforward driving part. We're just going straight down Prince Philip Drive, speed limit 70 here. Now, Justin's not speeding, it's just that townies are afraid to drive in the dark, rain, wind, cold, snow, bright sun with other cars on the road if the traffic lights aren't working, if the lines aren't painted. Yeah, townies are just afraid to drive, okay? They don't do the speed limit. Then we get to this part of the drive, which admittedly I only put into this route because of the fact that the lines aren't painted. So here, Justin's driving in the oncoming traffic left turn lane. Justin doesn't know he made that mistake. We do a little loop around this parking lot here. He told me not to tell him the mistakes he made so that he wouldn't get too stressed out while we're driving. Now, I had to tell him about the headlight thing and the door open, of course, before we started driving. So we head out here towards Prince Philip again. Then he makes a mistake that I really didn't expect him to make. He stops in this crosswalk. Then that's the last mistake Justin makes for a while. We get out in the flow of traffic here on Prince Philip and turn up Torburn Road. Justin watches the speed pretty good. You know, the camera really doesn't do it justice how dark it's getting here. It's pretty dark now. All the street lights are on. You can tell that the cars coming towards us all have their headlights on now. The businesses have their lights on. Everything is lit up. Now, don't get me wrong either. I'm not saying it should be difficult to drive here. I'm just saying with the city the way it is, with the potholes, the lines aren't painted, anything like that. I just feel like Justin's doing a pretty good job. Justin's driving has improved so much, it's noticeable. You know, 3 years ago, this is a true story. 3 years ago, driving on Torburn Road, we were coming down the hill instead of going up the hill like we are here. And he actually went off the edge of the pavement on the right side and hit a chunk of pavement that had broken off, and it was standing upright. And the impact from that bent the steering shaft in my car. So he doesn't hang off the right side of the road like he always used to do. That's a good thing to see. At the top of this hill here, we just go out across the highway to end the road test. So he's almost done. He's only failed twice so far. You know, judging based off of 50 points is a fail. And all he has left to do is parking, really. So let's slow it down right here and look at Justin merging onto the highway. Now, 8 years ago when I got my license, this is something that I lost points for as well. So I can't be too hard on him for doing this. It's not something that you expect to lose points for. So he comes out here. Now the ramp speed is 70, so he's not going to speed here, but he gets to the end of it. And you'll notice that when he merges out into the lane of traffic on the highway, he's still not doing 100, and he also doesn't follow the merge lane all the way to the end. I guess what you're supposed to do, and what I lost points for, was merging out into traffic too slowly. So now Justin's out on the highway doing the last little bit of driving that he has to do for this whole challenge. Now I want you to look at his speed here. Now, I know I should have added in the driver camera here, but it was really dark and didn't really show what I'm explaining very well. But he was watching his speed all the time. Like, he was looking down at his speed at least twice every 5 seconds. And what surprised me the most was the fact that his speed deviated so much. Like, he's doing about highway speed here right now. Now this video is sped up at 5 times normal rate, of course, going across the highway, but he's doing about highway speed here. He kicks it up to about 105. He slows down a lot, but he never does speed more than 10 kilometers over the limit. Then I try to get Justin to take his hands off the wheel.
The chicken bone in that little flap on the back of my seat. Can you grab it?
Good call. He also doesn't take the bait for cruise control.
You can put it in cruise control.
And so that brings us to the final part of this driving challenge, exiting the highway. And Justin signals, shoulder checks his lane change, but he doesn't realize that the ramp speed here is 40. Now, I know the argument is that he does get down to 40 here, but, you know, you have to make this turn, basically. He was still doing 55 when he passed the 40 sign. And that concludes the driving. He lost 175 points. So now it's time to park. Justin and Sarah both got 2 attempts at angle parking. Justin's angling way too close to the left side of the space, and I have a small camera positioned at the front of this cone, so I run out to try to save it, but I don't need to because Justin just stops turning then. That's a fail. But I'm a good friend and I don't want Justin to get too depressed about it, so I still give him a thumbs up. Here comes Justin for his second attempt at angle parking. Now, in your actual road test, you're not allowed to angle out like this. You're supposed to back in at a perfect 90 degrees. But it works for him this time. He does manage to get into the space. Now, at this time, I want to point out that because it was getting dark, I let him use the reverse camera. And he almost runs over my camera again. You see me run out trying to save it. But he doesn't. He backs into the space nearly perfectly, but doesn't stop moving backwards. I knew angle parking was going to be a problem for Justin. It was a problem for him all along. So here's a clip from 3 years ago when Justin tried to angle park my old car. Admittedly, up until the very end of this parking attempt, I wasn't sure which space he was trying to park in. And here you can see that in 3 years, Justin's parking has improved to a double park from a quadruple park. Well, maybe he'll do better with parallel. You get 3 attempts at parallel. On Justin's road test, he will be asked to parallel park in a similar fashion to this, in a space that's 25 feet long. He starts off way too far away from the curb. There's actually no way possible for him to back in, turn, and get straightened out in 25 feet. So he fails his first attempt, but I explained to him why he failed his first attempt. And then for his second attempt, he puts that lecture to good use. He does have a little bit of trouble finding reverse again, but once he does find reverse, he backs in perfectly. That's how you get it done right there. So obviously parallel parking is not Justin's problem for his road test. He does need to work on his angle parking a little bit. So overall, for his entire road test, he lost 175 points for his driving. He failed angle parking for a total of 225 points, which is 4 times failure. Next week, it's Sarah's turn.